Hello children, welcome to the social science lessons for class 9, history, chapter 4, Forest Society and Colonialism, and today we will discuss how did forest do affect cultivation. Okay, so this is the part 4 video. So in the previous classes we have seen we had at the natural forest which were having different varieties of trees, but with the arrival of Europeans, so they wanted tall and straight trees. They introduced a system over here as scientific forestry. So those pictures you can see here. The first one is the natural forest where you can see different varieties of trees, and second picture is the plantation where you will see the single variety of tree is planted, and the forest in India became more under the control of Britishers, and there were forest guards and there were officials to protect forest. And here you can see some people are taking the measurement of timber, and some are recording something. So regularly there were inspections of British officials in this forest areas, and this is a man behind the scientific forestry. And what was his name? Do you remember? Dietrich Dantes. Then how did forest rules affect cultivation? So we have already seen the other thing, like the Britishers divided the forest into three categories, and one of the category as reserve forest, there the entry of people were totally restricted, right? So here you can see traditional agricultural practices. Shifting cultivation or Sweden agriculture is the traditional agriculture practice in many parts of Asia, Africa and South America. So this is in general. Wherever the Europeans set up their colonies, there the traditional agricultural practices were shifting cultivation. It is also known as Sweden agriculture, and the other name for shifting cultivation like zooming, milpa and all, right? So it has many local names such as lading in Southeast Asia, milpa in Central America, chitmine or tavi in Africa, and chena in Sri Lanka. In India, Daya, Penda, Bewar, Nevad, Jum, Odu, Kantad and Kumri are some of the local terms for Sweden agriculture, otherwise known as shifting cultivation. Okay. And shifting cultivation. In shifting cultivation, parts of the forest are cut and burned in rotation. Seeds are sown in the ashes after the first monsoon rains, and the crop is harvested by October, November. Such plots are cultivated for a couple of years and then left fallow for 12 to 18 years for the forest to grow back. A mixture of crop is grown on these plots in central India and Africa. It could be millets. In Brazil, manioc. In other parts of Latin America, maize and beans. So here you can see what is shifting cultivation. A part of forest area will be slashed, and the cleared vegetation will be put on fire or it will be burned, and so formed ashes will be mixed with the soil. Then the seeds will be sown were the first monsoon rains, and the crop was harvested by the months of October or November. And it is said that such plots which are used for shifting cultivation is being cultivated for a couple of years. After that, this particular land will be left fallow. Left fallow means left without cultivation. For what it is done like that? So one thing, it is to grow back the forest, and the other thing, to regain the fertility of the soil. And a mixture of crop is grown on these plots of shifting cultivation. And it is said as in central India and Africa, it could be millet sometimes, and in Brazil it is manioc, and in other parts of Latin America means South America, maize and beans. So this is a picture of shifting cultivation. Here you can see the vegetation is burnt, and later what will be done? The ashes formed out of this burning will be mixed with the soil. So this is the cycle of shifting cultivation, otherwise known as Sweden agriculture. And one more name is familiar for you. What is that? Slash and burn agriculture. So we will see the circle of the same here, cycle of the same here, as the all secondary forest will be cut first, then the crop will be grown, then after some years the land will be left fallow, then again the trees will grow. So here forms a young secondary forest, then later it becomes grown up trees as all secondary forests, and this process continues. Now, the attitude of European foresters. And who are these or European foresters? They are the colonial people. Okay. The attitude of European foresters towards shifting cultivation. European foresters regarded this practice as harmful for the forest. Which practice is harmful for the forest? European foresters regarded shifting cultivation or Sweden agriculture as harmful for the forest. So let's see why. They felt that the land which was used for cultivation every few years could not grow trees for railway timber. That means the European foresters or the colonial people, they thought if the land is used for cultivation, the forest had to be cleared and other trees will be lost. So they cannot depend on that particular area which is cleared for cultivation for taking timber for their railway construction or shipbuilding. Then when a forest was burned, there was the added danger of the flames spreading and burning valuable timber. So this is another challenge in front of them, as when the forest or the vegetation is burnt, there is a chance that the fire will spread to the nearby areas too. Okay, so in these areas there will be valuable timber sometimes. So if fire is spreaded like that, this valuable timber also will be lost. So that will be lost for the European foresters. Right. Now you can see here a picture of burning forest, Penta or Podu land. And what is this Penta or Podu land? The land which is used for the shifting cultivation. Penta or Podu is the other name for shifting cultivation. In shifting cultivation, a clearing is made in the forest, usually on the slopes of the hills, After the trees have been cut, they are burned to provide ashes. The seeds are then scattered or sown in the area and left to be irrigated by the rain during the monsoon. Okay, and this is a process, and it is mostly done in the hill slopes. Okay, what is the danger there with the hill slopes? So it is that easy to spread the fire. So the colonial people were so much scared of this thing. Okay, they thought like if the nearby area is also burned, they will lose other timber which they require for shipbuilding or railway construction. Okay, then the foresters or the European foresters or colonial people, they didn't totally ban the system of shifting cultivation earlier. Okay, and uh, so it was not in the name of shifting cultivation earlier, but the cultivation was permitted by some of the European foresters. Okay, one such incident or one such situation is given over here. So this is Taunkia cultivation was a system in which local farmers were allowed to cultivate temporarily within a plantation. You know what is a plantation? Where the foresters planted the tree in a row, and the trees which are tall, straight and hard, right? Or the places where the scientific forestry was practiced. In this photo, taken in Taravati division in Burma in 1921, the cultivators are sowing paddy. So, where is Burma now? Burma is the old name of Myanmar. The men make holes in the soil using long bamboo poles with iron tips. So, those were the traditional tools was used by this people to dig the soil, and in those holes women will sow the paddy. Okay, and what is the name for that particular system of cultivation? Taunkia cultivation. Okay, now in any way we understood the European foresters were not in favor of shifting cultivation. So here we will see what are the other challenges in front of the European foresters related to this shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation also made it harder for the government to calculate taxes. Why? Because frequently it changed at the plot of cultivation. So it was not that easy for the European governments to calculate the taxes over forest areas or over cultivation too. So therefore the government decided to ban shifting cultivation. So the uh, European government over uh, here and in all colonies, they decided to completely stop the practice of shifting cultivation. As a result, many communities were forcibly displaced from their homes in the forest, and some had to change occupation while some resisted through large and small rebellions. So these were the reactions against the ban of shifting cultivation by the European foresters. But still this practice or shifting cultivation is practiced in many of the areas of India, especially in northeast. So by this I stop. Thank you, children.